Today, I'm gonna show you how to record really nice sounding acoustic guitars and electric guitars on a budget. Let's go into the studio. I've made my living as a guitar player for the past 15 years or so, and this philosophy should save you a lot of time and money because I've done a million experiments over the years. First, let's talk about recording acoustic guitars. When you're recording acoustic guitar, you're not just recording your acoustic guitar, you're recording the sound of the acoustics of your room. Even a unidirectional mic or like a pencil mic is still picking up the sound of the room. The odds are you're not recording in like a beautiful sounding barn, you're in a little room or in an apartment and the acoustics are weird, you've probably got some weird reflections going on. I totally understand. I recorded in an apartment in Los Angeles for like a decade. Let me show you something. This is a packing blanket. Don't put foam on your walls. It's a bunch of garbage. Packing blankets are where it's at. You can get these for cheap at packing stores. They even sell like fancy ones. I have some up here because they have hooks on them. These packing blankets, they're called acoustic something or others. You get them used, you can get them super cheap. Some stores will even just give them away if they're old and beaten up. I built this baffle with crappy old packing blankets. I think they were $10. Don't put them directly on the wall. You want to keep them close to you. That way the sound passes through the blanket, but the reverb doesn't come back and hit you. So it doesn't block any sound from coming in. It just tames reflection. The zero budget option is just using clothing, like this. Clothing will do a lot to tame that reflective sound. Sometimes you want reflection. If it sounds good, record with it, but remember, you can't undo reverb. Before we even get into microphones, let's talk about the guitar itself. Rule 1, don't buy into the hype. Please save your money. This is a super cheap aquilla, favilla guitar. It's got a solid top, it's laminate, it's missing one of these inlays. Who cares? It intonates well, it sounds good. As long as your guitar has a solid top and you're happy with it, it's probably gonna sound 90% of the way there. You could spend $3,000 and to the untrained ear, it's not gonna sound that much better. It makes me uncomfortable to even play like a $3,000 or $5,000 Martin or Taylor when you can get a $500 one that sounds really, really good. I have a 1970s Martin and that thing sounds great too. But the ratio of price to sound is just way higher on a cheap guitar with a nice solid top. Here's something really important to recording acoustic guitars, and that is pick choice. People don't talk about this enough. A thick pick, a thin pick, they have a completely different sound, right? It's the only thing you can do to adjust your tone on the acoustic. The guitar, where you place the mic, the sound of the room, if you're using your fingers or a pick, what type of pick, how hard you're strumming. Also, the color of your pick matters. Orange is cool, turtle shell is cool.
All of the colors are stupid.
This is the world's thickest pick. Don't ever use this pick. It's evil. It's evil. So now you have a nice sounding guitar and you're happy with the way your room sounds. Now let's talk about microphones. Rule 2, don't buy into the hype. Save your money. The cheap off-brand overseas microphones that you can get now are amazing value. They sound great. Here's a cheap mic that I love. It's the MXL 990. I have a modified version and I have a non-modified version. I've had this Audio-Technica AT2020 for like 20 years. It's not the best sounding mic, but sometimes in a mix, it'll just sit nicely. If you're looking for a mic to buy, I would recommend actually the MXL V67G, which is supposed to sound really, really great for the money. It's cheaper than this and allegedly it sounds even better. I'm all about bargain and value. You could record your acoustic with like a dynamic mic, but it's gonna be more of a retro sound, more of like a 70s sound. It could be good. It could be more of a direct sound and you might get less room. So I used to always deliver to my clients stereo acoustic guitars with 2 different mics that were perfectly in phase and they sounded beautiful hard pan, and I still think that's a great sound. But I started getting feedback from producers and they would say, just give me the condenser mic. I don't need all that stuff. I'm gonna throw away the other mic anyways. So more and more I'm using a mono signal. Most of the time, electric guitars and acoustic guitars have their low end totally cut out. And I'm not just talking about the low rumble. I'm talking about the audible part of the guitar. Way more low end is getting cut out than you realize. Oftentimes when it's like a strumming acoustic thing, they're treating the acoustic guitar like a shaker with notes. So you're just hearing the string and you're hearing very little note. For that reason, don't worry about capturing lows. Lows are not a big concern for me. Unless it's just acoustic guitar and vocals, it's probably not gonna make it to the mix. What you wanna worry about is capturing a nice balanced sound with a nice tone. So oftentimes I'll just start out with my cheap condenser right in front of the 12th fret, and I will angle the mic slightly forward towards the fretboard. And then I'll just adjust to taste in or out. I'll record a little bit and I'll listen. If there's weird reflections going on, I'm going to adjust where I am, or I'm gonna put a packing blanket. endlessly trying to get it better. Oftentimes I will stick something directly behind the microphone because I'm getting reflection back there too. Now let's talk about electric guitar. Rule 3, don't buy into the hype, save your money. You see this guitar? Somebody left this at the house. They didn't even want it anymore. I just recorded a whole bunch of slide guitar because for a slide guitar, you don't need good sounding frets. You don't even need your guitar to be perfectly intonated. All you need is one pickup to work, you need the strings to be high, and you can get a really nice slide guitar sound. This is a free guitar. When I say don't buy into the hype, I mean like you don't need a fancy acoustic guitar with X bracing or whatever. There's enough guitars in the world already. It's kind of like dogs. We have enough dogs. Just get a used dog at the kennel or at the whatever, the used dog. Don't pay for a dog. There's enough guitars already. You don't have to buy a new one. Get it used. Save your money. That's what I mean. If you take the cable out of your electric guitar and plug it directly into your interface using the computer to create sounds, you're using the computer to emulate not only the sound of an amplifier, but the sound of a speaker and the sound of a microphone. And it can't do any of those things. Every time I listen to a direct guitar signal and I try to make it sound like an amp, it just sounds like a direct guitar signal with a bunch of crap added to it. So my recommendation is take a Shure SM57, which will last you the rest of your life and the rest of your children's lives, and stick it on an amp. It could be a cheap amp. Those cheap orange amps sound really good. Or a cheap Fender Blues Junior. Those sound really good. It could be a Dan Electro Honeytone for like 40 bucks. Those things sound really, really nice. That sounds more real. That sounds more organic. There are only a couple acceptable direct guitar sounds, and those are sounds like John Frusciante's sound on Blood Sugar Sex Magik or his solo stuff, or Mac DeMarco's direct guitar sound. But if you were trying to take a direct guitar signal and make it sound like an amp, unless you're playing through one of those really, really expensive Kempers, or I would never buy a Kemper amp or anything digital like that. Why? Because you are renting it, you are not buying it. Whenever I hear someone raving about what these companies are doing, if you're all about these companies and you think they're great and they're your friend, you sound like a character from an Orwell novel. You sound like a communist who's like brainwashed. If this microphone had a bunch of digital crap in it, it would not last me 20 years. I don't understand how you can love the digifying of a microphone or a guitar or a refrigerator. These things were gonna last, but they add all this digital crap and now it won't last. They're building in the obsolescence. And now I'm ranting. If your guitar sounds like crap, is it in tune? Is it intonated? Do you have fresh strings? Those things are free and they will drastically improve your tone. How does your guitar playing sound? You might be better off investing your money into like one guitar lesson than buying a bunch of crap and not being able to play. You could give me the best freaking violin in the world, but I can't make it sound good. Here's something that'll save you money. You should only ever buy a cable that has a lifetime warranty. Invest in a Mogami cable or something. All cables are gonna break. So if you buy one with a lifetime warranty,
it lasts your whole life.
This is probably the best value cheap guitar I've ever seen in my life. I made a video about it. It's like 150 bucks. It's a Kramer, it's hot pink, can't go wrong. If you're looking for an interface recommendation, the cheapest Focusrite interface sounds really, really nice. I prefer the preamps on that to a Duet. That's a whole other story. And then way down here, we got my Sovtek amp, which I think I got it for like $300. It's all point-to-point wired. It sounds kind of like a Marshall, and it's a really good value. This is literally a free speaker. I don't remember where I got it, and I attached it to this piece of wood. It looks terrible. The reason I haven't changed it is because it sounds fine. Yeah, you could spend all day messing where the 57 is pointed, but just point it at the speaker and get on with recording.